Hi, my name is Renee Rizzo. This will be a teacher-facing video which will guide you through my adaptation of a small portion of Living Environment, Unit 7, Day 16, Introduction to Cultural Evolution, which I have elected to break down into several smaller parts to accommodate the unique learning needs of students in alternate assessment settings. So for the purpose of this video, I am focusing on cultural evolution when we first made tools. So the focus question, which I elected to use straight from the original lesson in the Teach Hub, what is cultural evolution and what are some of the ways that culture has evolved in humans? So the vocabulary for this lesson is cultural evolution, how way of life changes over time. Another vocabulary word for this lesson is tool, a device used to perform a specific job. So think about it. How do you define culture? What do you think of when you hear that word? So I would definitely take time to answer this question with your students, chart student responses, and discuss their thoughts on this word because different people do define culture in a different way. So for the purpose of this lesson, you can discuss that culture, is the usual social behaviors in human societies. It includes language, beliefs, food, habits, music, art, the way families interact with each other, the way other people interact with each other, and how people make decisions individually and in groups. So you can also go into specific examples of each of these, of social behaviors, of languages that people speak, of beliefs that people had, of different cultural foods, how different cultures do things in different ways, the music that they listen to, the art they appreciate, and how they interact. And this can provide for a lot of rich discussion with your students. So for this particular lesson, we are only focusing on the YouTube video from PBS Eons, when we first made tools. The original cultural evolution lesson within the Teach Hub includes several videos, and it also asks students to break up into groups to focus on these different videos. I have elected to make several videos for teachers to adapt for students, but focusing on one video at a time that the whole class can work on. Because I think in alternate assessment settings, it's important for the whole class to be able to collaborate on these discussions and to have exposure to these different aspects of cultural evolution. So here's a question based on the video. What was the difference between the tools hominins used and the tools chimps and bonobos used? So A, the tools chimps and bonobos used were much more advanced. B, the tools hominins used were made of carefully chosen materials and were often carried around and reused. Or C, the tools hominins used were made of metal. The correct answer here being B. The tools hominins used were made of carefully chosen materials and were often carried around and reused. Next, why did our early ancestors use tools? A, to get to the more nutritious parts of food. B, to fight with other hominins. Or C, to do paperwork. So as it is discussed in the video, the correct answer is A, to get to the more nutritious parts of food. And you can explain that there probably was not paperwork in this time. This was a very, very long time ago. So you can have that discussion with your students. So the next question, what made Homo erectus different from earlier hominins? A, Homo erectus had a smaller brain, smaller body, and larger teeth. B, Homo erectus had a tremendous brain, a tremendous body, and no teeth. C, Homo erectus had a larger brain, larger body, and smaller teeth. So if students do not remember this answer, you could definitely go back to the video as a resource. The correct answer here is C. Homo erectus had a larger brain, larger body, and smaller teeth. So, next question, why did our ancestors eat meat? A, they were following low carbohydrate diets to prevent obesity. B, meat provided more calories to give them energy and help their brains to function. C, they no longer liked the taste of fruits and vegetables. So you can go into how obesity was not a problem yet, right? Because our ancestors were moving around a lot. And that was really not a concern at that time in human history. And it's not C, that they no longer liked the taste of fruits and vegetables. It's that B, meat provided more calories to give them energy and help their brains to function. So as um, our ancestors became more advanced, they required more calories to keep their energy up and to help their growing and developing brains. So, what changes to human anatomy do scientists think were influenced by tool making? A, our brains become more complexly wired and our hands became better at gripping and coordination. B, our brains became smooth. Our hands began to hurt. C, our hands and teeth became much larger. So, the correct answer here that is discussed in the video is A. Our brains became more complexly wired and our hands became better at gripping and coordination. So, to conclude this lesson, you would discuss with your class what did you learn in this lesson about cultural evolution in humans? And you would want students to focus on tool making because that is what this lesson was about. And you did not cover any other aspects of cultural evolution in humans in this lesson. You could also go into what tools people use today to do different jobs. And you could discuss how tool making over time has obviously become much more advanced. And we use tools to perform different tasks. And maybe some of these tasks wouldn't have been necessary long, long ago. So culture is always evolving and changing throughout history. So just to review, this was a teacher-facing video which guided you through my adaptation of a small portion of Living Environment, Unit 7, Day 16, Introduction to Cultural Evolution, which I elected to break down into several smaller parts to accommodate the unique learning needs of students in alternate assessment settings. And it's interesting to note that I chose to make this adaptation to this lesson. And often in the management needs section of my IEPs, I state that students need tasks and lessons broken down into smaller, more manageable steps. So this is definitely in line with the unique learning needs of students in alternate assessment settings. Thank you for watching.